Hey everyone, welcome back to the sixth part of our token staking DApp project. In the last part, we have done the setup for multiple wallet provider, which allow us to communicate with different wallet. And we have also built our header component and footer component. So if you haven't watched the last video, make sure to watch it. In this video, we're going to start working on our admin panel and let's build all the functionality along with the UI component. So this is where we left in the last video and we're going to start working on the admin panel. I'm going to simply minimize this and now we're going to do a couple of import. Actually a lot of import. So first thing we have to import use effect and use state that's coming from React. Now I have to do the import of the account, so we'll say use account and that's coming from Wing. Once I have that, now I'll come here and let's do a couple of internal import. So we're going to import and this coming from, so we're going to import header, footer, that's what we have, and now we're going to import loader, ICO cell. So these are the components we are importing. Now we're going to do the internal import from the admin files. So let's call import, we'll say admin and it's coming from the admin folder, admin/admin. Then we're going to simply replicate it, change this to admin head. Then this one is going to be our update API model. This one is going to be our auth. So these are the four components we're going to import. So let's change this. Copy, paste, and these are the admin components we have here. Looks good. Now we can simply come back here and here we're going to simply import the functionality. So it's going to be coming from our context/index. In that we're going to need a couple of functions. So first one is going to be contract data. Second one is going to be transfer token. Then we have create pool, sweep, and we're going to have modify pool. Because owner of the contract can have this power to modify the contract and change the data. So we got all of this function, we got this component, and this is the packages we are installing. Now we can simply come back here and we need few things. So come back to the component constants and we need this environment variable. So simply copy this one and come back here and paste here. And I'm going to do the changes. So come back here and go to the environment variable and we need the address of the admin. So we can simply grab this and replace here. And let's call this admin address, copy and paste here. So this is the only environment variable we need here in the admin page. We got it. Now we can simply come back here and let's declare a couple of variables. At the time of page reload, we're going to fetch the information about the contract and we're going to set in our context. So we're going to take this use effect snippet and I'm going to say loader. By default it will be false. Then I'm going to take the account. So we'll say address and it's coming from our package use account. We got this. Let's take another one for auth. We'll say check auth. By default it will be true because when the page will reload we have to check that which user is connected. If it's admin then we want to allow them to have the access, otherwise we have to restrict this. Once I have that, now we're going to simply come here and let's take another one. This is going to be called pool details, which is going to have all the data about the contract. Now we'll take this use state and it will say modify pool ID, because when we want to modify the pool APY, the percentage, we have to get the ID and that's what we're going to update here. So these are the state variable as far of now we are taking it. This looks fine. Now we have to simply come here and open up your terminal and start the application and just test. So we'll say npm run dev. And now we can simply come back to the browser. I hope you guys are following me on YouTube. So open a new tab, click on this localhost. I have done this setup and here you can see everything is working fine. So right now we are on the home page. If I try to go on the admin page /admin and you will see that it has this blank canvas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply import header and footer component. So what we can do, we can simply come here, remove this, take this fragment, and inside that we can take our header component and we can take our footer component. And this looks good. Now the moment you will save and reload the page, you will see these two components are reflecting here absolutely fine, and we can simply click on this and we can connect our wallet. So give your password and click on unlock. So we are connected successfully. If you click here, you will have this pop-up model. You can disconnect and copy the address. So everything is looking good. Now we can start working on our other components. So before we start working on the component, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a function which is going to fetch the information about the contract, the staking contract. So let's do that. So let's write that function. So we'll take a variable called load data. It's going to be an async And this is the function we're going to call at the time of page reload. So let's build that condition. So we'll say if address exists, means the user is connected, then only I want to call this function. So I'll say set loader is to true. So I have to display the loader. Then I can simply come back here, say if address. So again, I have to do the check whether the user is connected with the application, is the admin or not. So we'll say if address, I have to convert it to a lowercase, is equal to admin. So take this admin address, lowercase. If it's equal to admin, then I want to allow the user to have the access of the admin panel. So in that I can say check auth is going to be true. Then we have to simply call our smart contract function. So we'll say data, we have the function, we'll say await contract data. In that we have to pass the address of the user. And once we have the data, we have to simply console log out that to see in our browser. And we can set this data in our pool details. And that's the only thing we have to do. Else, what I can do, if anything goes wrong, I have to simply stop the loader. So I can say set loader to false. And this is the function is ready, which allows us to fetch the information about the contracts, and it will set in our state. Now we can simply call this function. So we'll take this use effect, and I want to call this on page reload. So let's call the function, and it's going to be an empty array. So whenever the page will reload, this is the function is going to be triggered. And that's the only function we have to write here. Everything's look good. Everything's look good. Now we can simply come back here and we can check that this data is reflecting in our console. So let's do the inspect element, and we can click here and let's pick on this. Now look good. It's 100% responsive. You can see it's opening. You can close it. Now come back to the console, and here I'm getting some sort of error. It says that ethers is not defined. Okay, somewhere I have called something else instead of ethers. So that's the error I'm getting. So to fix this, we can come back here. This looks good. We can come back here in the index. So this is the function we are calling. This is the contract address, and in that we have a couple of internal function. So here we are importing absolutely fine. So there is no problem in the index file. Maybe it's happening in the constant because we are also importing this particular toEth function. So let's come back here, and yeah, there is a problem. So let's give this s. Give this s, and it will fix the issue. Now the moment you will reload the page, you will see everything is good, and now we are getting different error. So we are getting this typo error. So maybe I have done some typo error. So we can close this one, and what I can do, I can simply come back here, go back to the index, and this time this error is happening somewhere here. So this looks fine. There's no problem in it. A contract object. So let's do console.log to see we are getting our contract, and you can see we got our contract. If you open that, in that you will find all the functions we have. All the function we have coded in our smart contract. So there's no problem in the contract. I'm going to simply cut this one, and I'm going to simply bring down here, like bring down here, and simply copy this pool info array, and that's what I'm going to console log out to see. If it's empty array, means there is everything is good. Okay, so there is no problem in the pool info array. You can see we are getting this empty array, means this, that's fine. So this particular error is happening right up here where we are calculating the deposit token, and I can see the problem. So here I have to simply provide this 0, and that will fix the issue. That will fix the issue. So make sure to give this 0, and now you will have all the data about the contract. So reload the page, and here you can see we got the data from our contract. So this is the data structure we have designed. Contract address to contract owner, we have the total balance, we have the deposit token. So we have notification array, pool array, and here we have the reward token, in which you will find all the balance which you are getting and all the details. Everything is good. So that function is absolutely working absolutely fine. So there is no problem. At the end we are returning the function. Looks good. Let's have a quick look, and I have to do a couple of changes. So I can see that the reward token and the deposit token has the same environment variable. So let me switch that. So I'll simply come back here. So before we do that, let's come back here. Here I have to do the changes. So I notice that this is the place where I have to remove it, and it's going to be only token logo. So that's the one change I have to do, and I have to do the changes here in the environment variable. So what I will do, I'll simply copy this deposit token. So that's what I have. I'll come back to my environment variable, and I will get the reward token, copy, and that's what I have to replace here. So make sure to do these changes. So we have done the changes. Now what I will do, I have noticed something else when I was going through the code. So I can simply open this one, and here is everything is good. Now this is the balance we are fetching from the contract. This is fine, but here we are doing exactly the same thing. So there is a repetitive code. So I'm going to do the changes. So what I will do is I'm going to simply copy this portion, and this is the one, this balance portion I have to remove. So simply paste here, and I have to remove this semicolon, and that's the only thing. And now I can simply remove this one. Make sure to do this change. This looks good. There's no problem. Now the rest should be fine. This is good. Close this one. Now we can open this one. We don't need to make any changes here. Everything is good here. Like we are getting the contract object. Now we can simply come back here, and this looks fine. We are getting all of this information about the token. Then we are getting our ICO token object, and that's what we are assigning here and returning at the end. So things looks good. Now simply close all of the open tab. We are getting all of the data. You can see we have all of this data. Looks fine. Now we can start and working on our component. So we can simply come back here, and let's build the structure of our component. So what I'll do, let's make it side by side so we can see what exactly we are working on. Let's drag it here, and let's do that. So first we have the header. In that we have to send the prop. So it's going to be called admin. That's the prop we are receiving in our header component. Now we have to simply build our loader first. So let's take this loader. If it's true, then we have to display it. Let's turn it to true, and there's nothing here, but soon everything will come here. So now we can start working on our loader. So come back here, go to the component, and we have this loader here. So this is the one. Click here, and that's what we're going to start working now. So it's going to be a simple loader. So let's take a class. We can call it new loader dash wrapper. Inside that we're going to take a div. It will have a class called new dash wrapper. Inside that we have to take divs. So we'll take a div. It will have a class, and we'll say new dash circle, and you can see the bouncing ball we have, and we're going to have 3 balls. So let's replicate this 3 times. So we have this 3 balls, and we have to change this to shadow because we need to have the shadow, and that's what we have in the design. And we have to replicate 3 times as well. So we got 3 shadows, 3 ball, and you can see it looks absolutely wonderful. And that's the only thing we have to do, and that we can able to have our loader. Now we can simply come back here, close this one. So our loader is working fine. Now we can simply come back here in our admin page, and now we can start working on the auth component. So here we're going to say, let's change this to check admin, and here we're going to call our auth component. It's going to be do the simple work. It's going to simply check the address. If it's admin, then it's going to hide, otherwise it's going to display. So I'm going to first remove this one. Now I can simply come back to the auth, which inside the admin folder. In that we have the auth, and this is what we're going to work now. So let's do one thing. What I will do, I'll simply take a class, and let's call this new loader dash wrapper dash admin. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class. Let's call this model dash dash auto. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class. Let's call this model dash dialog, model dash dialog dash centered. Now I can simply come back here, and I can simply remove this. Like by default it's true. So I can simply remove this one. It's going to display, and there you can see we have the loader. Then it's our component is reflecting for the auth. Now we can start working here. So we can come here, take a div. It will have a class called model dash content. Inside that we'll take h4, and we can display our text. Let's call this model dash title, and in that we can say notice. There it is. Now we can come down here. We'll take a p tag. It will have a class called model dash dash text. Inside that you can display your text. I'll say sorry, you are, we'll take a span. Inside that not authorized to access admin panel. There it is. We have our notification message. We got it. Now we can simply come down here and display a button so we can redirect the user. We'll take a div. It will have a class. Let's call this model dash dash form. Inside that I'll take anchor, and I have to redirect the user on the home page. So I'll take a class. I'll say form dash dash button, and it will have a type is going to be button. There it is. Inside that I can display the text go home, and there it is. This is our auth control component we have, and that's the only thing we have to do. Everything's look good. Let's make on the big screen. Okay, so we have some issue. The shadows are not reflecting. So if we click here, we can redirect to the home page. That's working absolutely fine. So let's come back to the admin. Here it's loading and checking the authentication, and once it's true, we can come back here. So I can see the problem. I can simply come back here. It's going to be dash dash content. So make sure to do the change. But there is a problem in the button. So the shadow is getting perfectly fine, but we have an issue with the button, and I noticed, okay, there is a problem with the form spelling. So let's say FORM and save it. Now you can come back here. Now we have a perfect button. If you reload the page, it's going to simply wait for the authentication and fetch the data, and you can click and you will be redirected to the home page. Now let's minimize this one, make it side by side, bring it here, and that's how it's going to look on a mobile device. So everything's looking good. I hope you guys are following it and see how things are coming together. So we are done with this auth. Close this one. We're done with the loader and the auth. Now we're going to start working on the other component. So let's do one thing. Let's quickly import all the components we're going to work on it. So we already have all the components here. So let's simply import that. And I have noticed one thing, that, and by default it's true. So when the authentication is matching, I have to simply off the component. So this is the function, in that we have the if statement and we are doing the check. So here I have to do the chain. So this is what we have. This looks good. Now we can see and simply change this to false, because once the authentication is true, means the admins try to access the admin panel, then we have to simply turn off the like auth component and save it and reload the page, and there it's reloading, and here you can see now we have the access of the admin panel. So it's look good. Now we can start working on the other component. So I hope you guys have understood the logic. Now we can start working on the other component. So let's do one thing. Let's quickly import all the components. So the second component is going to be our admin head. Then we can simply take the another one, going to be admin, and here we can take our dynamic component, update API model, and we're going to have our ICO cell. So let's send the prop. So first start with the admin. In that we have to send the entire data, the pool data, means the data we are fetching from our contract. Then we're going to simply transfer the transfer token function. Then we have to take the address. Then we have to take the loader. Then we have to take the create pool. Then we have to take the sweep function. Then we have to take this set modify pool ID. So these are the props we are setting in the admin component. Now we can come back in the update API model. In that we have to send couple of data. So pool data, pool details, set loader. Then we'll have this modify pool. So these are the three information, and the last one is going to be our modify pool ID. So we are passing the function and the ID looks good. And in the cell we're going to simply add the loader. So that's the entire code we have to write here in the admin page. So we have to do a lot of work. So first we're going to start with our header, after that admin and other components. So let's start with header first. So we can come back here in the admin folder, and here we have the header. So let's start working on it. Let's make it side by side. Let's bring it, click here, and now good. So let's start working on it. So first is going to have a class. Let's call this section. We'll have a section dash dash head. Inside that we can take a div. It will have a class called container. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called row. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called column 12. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called section dash dash title. We'll say take h header. We'll take h1 and we'll say admin panel. So there it is. We got our admin panel, and that's the only code you have to write here. So we got our admin head. Now simply close this one. Now come back to the admin page, and now we have to start working on our admin component. So first we're going to simply copy all of this prop. So we need all this prop. Simply copy, click here, come back to the admin folder, and we have the admin component. And here we have to simply import all the props. So this is the way you have to import. So first you have to give this bracket, and inside that you have to import. If you import without giving bracket, it's going to throw an error and the props will not work. So always give this bracket and then import the prop. Now we can simply format this, remove this one, remove this, remove this, remove this, remove this, and remove this. So we got our prop. Now we can start working on components. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple of imports, because we need couple of internal import to display here. So let's do the internal import. We need to import the admin nab, and that's coming from the admin component. Simply replicate this one, and this will change this to admin card. This will be token. This will be investing. This will be, let's say, transfer, pool, staking, and we'll have the ICO token. So we got all of this component. Now let's change the name, paste, pool, transfer, investing, we have token, admin card. So we got all of this internal component. Everything's look good. Now we can simply come back here. Let's start working on the JSX. So we're going to take a class. It will have a section. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class. Let's call this container. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class. Let's call row. Inside that, we'll take our admin nav. Then we can simply come down here. We'll take a div. It will have a class called column 12, column large -9. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class called tab dash content. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class called tab dash panel fade show, and we'll have active. Let's give an ID. We'll call it tab -1, and make sure to give this ID exactly, otherwise the click event will not work. Then give a role is going to be tab list tab panel. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class. Let's call it row. Inside that, we'll build our dynamic component. So we'll take this dynamic block and we'll say pool details. In that, we'll have the pool info array, and this array will contain that how many pools are there. So we have to random this card component dynamically. So we'll take this map. It will have a pool and index. Inside that, we have to simply provide our component. So we got this. We'll take our admin card component, and in that we're going to send the props. So let's send this key is going to be index. Then we'll have our name. Inside that, we're going to say take a template literal. We'll say current APY, and we'll have our dynamic data. So we'll say pool APY. Then we'll take this value. We'll take this dynamic block. We'll say pool dot deposited amount. Then we'll take the pool dot deposited symbol, because we have to get the token symbol, and that's the only thing we have to do. This looks fine. So this is going to be our dynamic component. No matter how many pools user will clear, this will automatically going to fetch the data and render and display. So we got this dynamic block. Now we're going to simply have the same block, and we're going to display a couple of static data. So what we can do, come back here and go to the index. There you will find we have all of the data. So what we can do, we can simply come back here. So this is what we are displaying. So this is the exact data we are returning from this function. You can see we have this deposit token. In that, we have the entire token object for the deposit token, and that's what we are trying to access. I hope you guys can understand that what exactly we are doing. So simply we can copy this component. We can come here and paste it, and let's change the data. So first thing is going to be our token stake. Here we have to display that how many token total stake in the staking contract, and that data is already available to us. So we're going to simply take this pool details, and we can simply change this to pool details, and this is fine. Now we can simply take this and change here. This looks good. Let's give this one this question marks, and now we have to remove this one and save it, and it's going to reload the data. Right now you can see it's the component is reflecting. There it is. We have the component, means it's working absolutely fine. Now we can simply copy and paste here and change this. So this one is going to be your balance, and we already have the balance. So we can simply come back here. If you come back here, you can see we have this deposit token. In that, we have the balance of the user, that how many token he or she hold of that particular token. So we can access that. We have this deposit. We have to simply change this to token deposit, and we can access the balance. We'll say balance, and we can slice it down to 8. And the rest will be fine. So we got the second component. Now we have to copy one more time and paste here, and this one is going to be the surplus token we're going to provide. So let's call this available supply, and this data is already available to us, so we have to simply get it from here. So you can see contract token balance, that's what we need, copy, and that's what we have to paste here. And we can simply remove this one. We have to convert it into a string because it's in the number. So let's convert that to a string, and we can simply cite it to 8 characters, 0, 8. There it is. We got our 3 card component, admin card component, and that's what we're going to build it. So that's the only thing we have to do. Now we can simply move ahead, and here we have to display our token details. In that we can simply send the prop. So we'll say token, and we already have the details about the token. So we'll take this pool details. In that we can get the access of the deposit token. Copy and paste here. So we'll have all the data. Now we can simply come back here, come down, and come down here. We can take a investing component, then we're going to take the staking component, we'll take transfer, pool, ICO token. All we have to do is to send the props in these components. So all the components are reflecting fine. So let's send the prop loader. Here we have to send a lot of data. So first is going to be pool details, then we have to set create pool, set loader, set modify pool ID. That's all we have. Now we can come back to the here, copy and paste, and change this to transfer token, copy and paste here, and simply change this to address, and the rest would be fine. Simply copy, that's what we can paste here. And here we need only 3 data, so let's remove this one, change this to sweep, and sweep, and the rest would be fine. Copy and paste here, and here we need the notification, so we can have the entire pool data. So that's the only thing we have to do here in the admin component. Looks absolutely great. I hope you guys have understood that what exactly we have done. So we have this, imported the component, cut this, and this looks good. So we have the card with all of these details. We have all of this component. So now we're going to start working on our admin nav, this one. So let's come back here, go back here in the admin nav, click here, and that's what we can start working on it. So simply click here. So we have to work on the JSX. There is no prop we're going to receive in this particular component. So let's start working on the JSX. So first we have to do a couple of internal imports. So let's do that. We'll say button component, and it's coming from our regular component slash button component. Let's take a class. It will have a column 12, call large 3. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called section dash dash tabs dash profile. Inside that we'll take a UL. It will have a class. Let's call this nav dash tabs section dash dash tabs section dash dash tabs dash dash big section dash dash tab dash dash profile, and that's the classes we have. Now we have to assign the ID. Let's call this section dash dash tab. It will have a role called tab list. So these are the classes and the ID and role we have to assign. Now we can simply come into this component, and here we have to simply display the component. So we already have the component, so we'll take this button component, and in that we have to simply send the prop. So it's going to be a name, so we'll say dashboard. It will have a tab ID, so we'll say 1, and it will have the class, dynamic class. So we'll take this style class is going to be active by default. The first one is going to be active, and you can see it's reflecting here. Now all we have to do is to simply replicate this. Simply copy and paste here, and remove this one. Now replicate this couple of times. Change the ID, tab ID to 2, and this will be investing. Replicate this couple of times and change this to 3, 4, 5, 6. Altogether 5 component we're going to have it. Now this one is going to be our staking. This will be our transfer. This will be pool, and this will be ICO token. We got all of the component, and that's what we have to import in our button component. So let's come back to the button component, go back to the regular, and here we have the button component. Click on that, and let's receive the prop. So give this bracket and receive the prop. Now let's remove this, and give this class and remove this. So we got the prop. Now we can start working on our button component. So what we can do, we can take a li, it will have a class. We'll have a class called nav dash item. It will have a role called presentation, and inside that we're going to have our button, and it's going to have a lot of props, lot of data. So first thing is going to be class. It's going to be a dynamic one. So we have a couple of regular class and dynamic one as well. So we can say style class, but at the time we are just going with the normal dynamic one. Let's have a couple of data. So let's come back and let's assign the data base toggle, and we have to give the name tab. Then we have to give data base target. It's going to be our dynamic ID. So we'll link this tab dash and the tab ID we are providing. That's what we can pass. Now we can come here. We'll type is going to be button. Then we have to assign a role. It's going to be tab. Aerial control is going to be our dynamic ID. So we'll say tab dash tab. Then we'll have our aerial selected. In that we can say true. So that's all the property we have assigned to our button. Looks good. Now we can simply come back here and display the name. And there it is. You can see we got all our component. Now you can click here and it's going to open different component. So that looks good. Now we can come back here in the nav, admin nav, and that looks good. And that's the only thing we have to do here. So we are done with this. Now we can simply close this one. Now we can come back here in the admin, and we're going to start working on our admin card. So we have to simply receive all these props. This one, like name and the value, not the index. So let's receive in our, so come back here, go back to our admin card. So click on this and let's see, receive the prop. So it's going to be a name, then value. We got it. Now we can start working on the card. So we're going to have our class. Let's call this call dash 12, call dash medium 4. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called stats. Inside that we'll take a span. It will have a class called stats dash dash value. There you can see we have got our card. Looks fine. Inside that we can display the value. So we'll say value. There it is. We got the value. Now we can simply come down here and we can take a p tag. Let's close this one. It will have a class. Let's call this stats dash dash name, and inside that we can display the name. There it is. So we got the data. You can see my balance is reflecting the total supply, which there is no total supply. That's why it's 0. Everything is looking good. So we're done with this card component. Now you can simply close this one. Now we can start working on the token component. So we already have the data about the token. So let's receive this. Copy. That's what we can receive. So we can come back here. We can go to token, click here, and let's receive the prop. And now we can start working on the token component. So it's going to be a very straightforward. So we have to do a couple of internal imports. So let's come here. We'll say internal import. First we have to import the component icon. So you can get it. So we'll take this md admin panel setting. This is the icon we are using. Now we can simply come back here and we can simply go back to our constants. There we have this information. So simply copy this portion, and that's what we can import here, because we need this staking contract address so we can provide the URL. So user can copy the URL and they can check the contract on the scan. So we got our staking contract, and now we can simply do one thing. We can simply change this. This name is quite big. Let's call this DApp. That looks good. Got it? Now we can simply come back here, and here we have to simply provide the token. So we can simply come here. We can get the URL. So we can simply come here with get this address URL, copy, and that's what we have to import. Let's call this address explorer. Now I can simply copy and paste here. I need more. I can get this token URL as well. Let's paste here. We'll say token explorer, and we need one more, copy and paste here. And this time we need the token, so we can come back here and we can simply copy this deposit token. Let's import that and let's call this token. So copy and paste here. I hope you guys can understand that. This looks good. It's rolling the data, and now we got the data and it's look perfect. Now we can start working straight away on our J6. So you can take a class. Let's call this call 12. Inside that we'll take couple of data. So this right now it's empty. Inside that we'll take a div, it will have a class called invest dash dash big. There it is. You can see the card. Inside that we can take a h2. It will have a class called invest dash dash title. Inside that we can take a block explorer. There it is. We got our block explorer. Now we can simply come back here. We can take a div. It will have a class called invest dash dash group. Inside that we'll take a input field, and that's going to have the URL of our contract. So type is going to be text. We can take a ID is going to be partner link. It will have a name. Let's call this partner link, and it will have a class called form dash dash input. There it is. Looks perfect. Now we can have our default value. We'll take this, and here we have to display the URL along with the address. So we make a template literal, and we can take the address as well. So it's taking DApp address, and you can see the URL is reflecting fine. So we got that with the input field. Now we can come back here. We can take a P. It will have a class. Let's call this invest text. Inside that we'll take our text. We'll say stake token stats crypto king best return on your investment. Looks good. You can type anything, and I can see there is a typo. Simply dash text. Now it looks perfect. We got it. Now we can simply come back here. Now we can take a table and display all the details about the token. So we'll take a table. It will have a class invest dash dash table. Inside that we'll take a table head tr. Inside that we'll take this th. So first one is going to be the token, second one is going to be value. There it is. Now we can come here and work on the body. So we'll take this table body. Inside that we'll take this tr name, and the second one is going to be the value. So we'll take this token. In that we have the entire data about the token. So first we try to access the symbol. Got it. Now we can simply wrap this tr. Okay, so let's change this to td, and we can take a tr. Okay, I made a mistake. Take a tr. Inside that we have to put this value. Now it's good. Now we can simply replicate it and change this to symbol, and here we have to do the changes. So here I have to change the name. There it is. The name is reflecting fine. Now we can simply copy and paste here. This will be our total, and we have the data. So we can say total supply, and we can display our symbol. Got it. Now we can simply copy paste here, and here we can say total stake, and we can say contract token balance. In that we have the entire balance of the contract, and the symbol is going to be the same. If we don't have that, we can display our 0. There it is. Got it. Simply copy and paste here, and here we have to do the change. So let's add a class name. We can call it yellow, and this will be called, we'll say explorer token. We got that, and here we have to simply take a anchor, and we have to redirect the user to the explorer. So we're going to take a dynamic block, and we'll say we'll take the token explorer URL, and then we have to display our token address. So user can simply click and they can redirect the explorer's page. We can have a custom styling. So I want to have margin from left like 10 pixels. That's fine. Now we can add the property. So we'll say target is going to be blank, so it will open in a new page, and we can add the class. So let's call this header dash profile. There it is. You can see we can display the text. We can call it, take a icon, we'll say ti. Inside that we can display the admin, and it's going to have a text as well. So we'll take this span. Inside that we can take this dynamic data. So we'll take this token name, token symbol. There it is. So right now on the mobile device we'll display the icon, but on the bigger screen desktop we're going to display the name and the symbol. Looks good. If I make on the big screen, you can see that's how our dashboard page look like. If you click on the investing, this all tabs are working absolutely fine. You can click on add dashboard, and there you will have all the details. So this is undefined because there is no data in the stake. You can simply copy the URL and paste here, and there it is. You can have the details about the contract. Looks good. Close this one. You can click on this, and it will take you to token scanner, and here you can able to find all the stats about the token. So close this one. Like so, now you can come back here in all the tabs, all of this working absolutely fine. So we are done with this dashboard. Now we have to work on the other components. So we're going to simply start working on our pool component first. So close this one, and we can start working on this because we can create a pool, then we can able to display all the data. So let's simply copy this props and receive in our pool component. So that's what we have here. Let's give this and paste and remove this one. So we got the prop. Now we have to do a lot of internal imports. So we're going to simply come here, we'll say internal import. So first is going to be, and that's coming from our icon. So we'll say f rug copy and f edit. So these two icons. Then we can come here, let's do the import, and this one is coming from our context / index. In that we have to receive the short address and we have to receive the copy address. This two function, got it? Now we can simply come back here. Let's take a state variable. So first one is going to be the pool. It's pool capital P, and it's going to be an object. So to create a pool we need 4 data: deposit, reward, percentage and the day. So let's take the deposit and give the exact name. So it's going to be deposit token is empty. Then we have the reward token. Then we'll have our percentage and we'll have our log days. Looks good. These are the data we are taking from user as an input. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a variable and let's format all the pools array. So we'll take this pool array and we'll have a data. So we'll say pool details. In that we have the data. We'll say pool info array, which contain all the pool which user, the admin, will create. So what we have to do is if there is no pool, then we have to return an empty array, only empty array. So we'll go with this conditional operator. So if the pool is there, then is display the pool, otherwise we can go with the empty array. That's the simple condition we have built. Now we can simply come back here. Let's build the function. So we'll say const calling function, and this function is going to create the pool. So it's going to be an async function. In that we're going to receive the details about the pool, and here we have to on our loader. So we'll say loader is going to be true. Then we have to simply console log out the entire data. Then we can start making call to our smart contract. So we'll say receipt, because when there is a successful pool create, we will get some data back. So we'll say await, and we can call this create pool. In that we can pass the pool. Then we can come here, we'll build a condition. So we'll say if there is a receipt, means receipt, there is a successful transaction, then we can simply change the state. So first we're going to simply console log out the receipt. Then we're going to simply turn off our loader. After that we're going to simply reload the page. So we'll say location.reload. And that's our successful function call. And if anything goes wrong, then we have to simply close the loader. So we'll say set loader to false anyway. And that's the function we have, which we're going to attach on the button. So it looks good. Now we can come back here. This looks good to me. We can simply, let's make it side by side so we can see what exactly we are working on. So here I'm getting some sort of warning. So I have to import the use state. So let's call this use state. And now it's good. It's reloading the data and we got all of this data. If you come back to the pool, nothing in here right at the moment. Now we can start working on the JSX. So let's take a class. We can call it tab pan fed. It will have an ID. Let's call this tab 5. It will have a role called tab panel. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called role. In that we'll take a div. It will have a class called call12. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called profile. Inside that we'll take a UL. It will have a class. Let's call this nav dash tabs section dash tab section dash tab dash left. Inside that it will have an ID. Let's take this call section dash profile dash tabs 3. We got all of that. Now we can take this role is going to be tab list, and inside that we're going to display all the tab. So it's going to have 2 tab. So we already have the component we have built, so we can simply import those components. So come back here. So first is going to be our button component, and it's coming from our regular folder. Now we can simply replicate this Now we have to import the other components like input field. Then we need our, let's say, click button, and the last one is going to be our title. Let's change this, change this, change this. So these are the components we are utilizing. So let's start with the first one, copy, and that's what we have to simply call here. Let's send the prop. So first is going to be the name. So I want to call this to be add pool, and I have to give the tab ID. So we'll say tab, the ID is going to be, let's call this F6, and we'll have our custom style. It's going to say active. There it is. You can see if you come back here, we have the active style. Now we can simply replicate it. Let's change this to pool list, and there is no active style. So user can click, and let's change this to 7. So they can click and they can open different tab. It's fine. Now we can simply come back here and let's build the entire components which we have to display on the click event. So first we're going to take a div. It will have a class. Let's call this tab content. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class. Let's call this tab dash pan fed show active. Inside that we'll take a div, and by default this is the component we're going to open first. Let's call this tab dash F6, and role is going to be tab panel. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class. Let's call this row. Inside that we'll take our title component, and we can send the prop. So we'll say title, and the prop is going to be provide pool details to create new pool. Only admin can call this function. So we got our title component. Now we can come back here and we can take the other components like input field. So altogether we're going to have 4 input fields. In that we have to send the prop. So first is going to be the size, and it's going to be half 12 because it will take the full width. 6 min take the half width. Type is going to be text. It will have the title. So we'll call this stake token address. So it will capital T. Then we have to say name, deposit token 1. Then we'll have a placeholder. In that we can say address. Then we'll have a handle change function. So the user will type and we'll get that details. So we'll take this E. We'll take this set pool. We have to spread this pool object, pool data. Then we have to get the deposit token and we have to update that. So we'll say e.target.value. So this is a very simple approach. First we are deconstructing, then we are targeting this deposit token, and that's what we are updating. So that's the first input, and altogether we're going to have 4 inputs. So we can simply select all this and copy and paste here and change the data. So this will be reward token, this will be reward token, and here we have to say reward token dash reward token. So we got this. Now we can simply copy and paste here, and we have to change the size. So this will be 6, and here we have to change this to APY percentage. This will be APY 1 and APY, and here we dash APY. Simply copy, paste here, and this one is going to be the days. So this will be log days. We'll say days 1. This will be days, and this will be dash log days. And here we have the 4th component. Looks good. Now we're going to have a button as well. So we can come here. We'll take our click button. It will have 2 props. First is going to be the name, create pool. So that's the prop we're going to have. And we'll also have a handle click prop. So what we can do, we can simply come back here and let's build the next component for the pool list. So we're going to have a div. It will have a class called table pan fed. It will have an ID tab F7. It will have a role called tab panel. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called row. Inside that we'll take a title, and we can display our title. So let's send the prop. So it will be all pool. There it is. It's reflecting. Now we can come back here. We'll take a div. It will have a class called call12. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called scroll bar dash div. It will have a style. We'll say overflow x is going to be scroll There it is. Inside that div, we'll take a table. It will have a class. Let's call this deals dash table. Inside that, we'll have our head, and inside that, we'll have our tier. We'll take the head. We'll say stake token. There it is, the first one. Replicate this reward token. Then we'll have the, let's change this to deposit, and we'll have the pool ID. Then we can have our percentage and the log day. So all of this data we have to provide. So you can see we can slide it and you can check. This looks good, perfect. You can go to different tabs, looks good. Now we have to work on the body, so we can come back here. Let's take this table body. Let's close this table body tag, and here we have to build this dynamic data. So we already, this data will be available in form of array, so that's why we are taking this dynamic data, I hope. So we already formatted the data, so we'll take this pool array, and that's what we have taken above, and on that we can simply call the map. So we'll say pool index, and we have to do the instant return. Inside that we can build our transaction. So we'll take this tr, close this one. It will have a key index. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class. Let's call this deals dash exchange. Inside that we'll have a span, and what I'm going to do is, let's make on the big screen because we have to work on the JSX. So let's take a class, call this red, and it will have the short address, and we have to display the address. In that we can pass the deposit token. So if you come back here in the index, there you will find we have the details, like this is the actual detail we are returning. But if you come back to the pool, here we have this deposit token address. So that's what we have. Copy and paste here. Got it? Now we have to give some space. So we take this HTML space, copy and paste here, and now we have to display our symbol of the token. So we can take this pool deposit token, and in that we have the symbol of the token, and we can simply take this space and we can display our copy icon, and it will have a on click function. So we'll say on click, and we can simply call this particular function. So copy address, in that we can pass the address of the token. So this one, copy and paste here. So this is the first component we have. Looks good. Now we can simply close this one, and we can simply copy. I forgot to wrap this, so simply take this td, and inside that we have to paste this, copy and paste here. Now it's look good. So simply copy this one, close this and paste here, and change this for reward. So this will be green. We can come back to the reward token, copy this. This is reward, change it, and we can simply come back here, reward token, copy and paste here. So this is for the reward. Looks good. Now we can simply come here, we'll take a td, it will have a div, it will have a class. Let's call this deal dash dash text, deals dash dash text green. Inside that we'll take our data, so we'll take the pool, and here we have this deposited amount, total deposit in a pool. So simply copy that one, and that's what we'll call it, and here we can display the icon. So we'll take the HTML space tag, we'll have a span, it will have a class called red, and we can display the deposited amount. So this is what we have. So first we have to display, take this deposit token, and inside that we have this symbol. So we have the deposited amount and the symbol. Looks good. Now we can come down here, we'll take a td, let's take a div, it will have a class called deals dash dash text. Inside that we'll display the data, so we'll say percentage. Now we'll take the next one, it will have a div, it will have a class deals dash dash text, deals dash dash text dash green. Inside that we can display the ID. So what I can do is, let's say pool APY. So it's getting repeated. Okay, I forgot to check. So first we have the ID, then we have the APY. So what I will do, I'll simply check this index. We can simply copy this one and paste here, and just simply remove here and remove this portion. This is the APY is fine. Here we have to build the ID. So I'll say hash p00 dash and the ID, and that's the only thing you have to do. This looks fine. Now we can come back here, we'll take a td, Inside that we'll take a div, it will have a class, and let's call this deal dash dash text, deals dash dash text dash cell. Inside that we'll take our address, so we'll take the pool and the log days. Got it? And at the end we have to display the button which user can click and update that specific pool. So let's come back here. We'll take a dd. Inside that we'll take a div, it will have a class. Let's call this deals dash dash text, deal dash dash text dash cell. Inside that we'll take this click button anchor. It will have a class called header dash dash profile. It will have a data base dash target, and we'll say model dash a poll. Type is going to be button, and we'll have a data base toggle. Let's give the name model, and it will have a on click function. So on the on click function we want to simply set this modify pool id. So the pool will start from 0 index 0 1 2 3, and we can pass the index. Inside that we can simply say take the icon. Inside that we can take the icon. So let's have a class called ti. In that we have the edit icon, and we can display the text. So let's call this update APY, and that's the entire data component. Looks good. Now if you come back here, you can see looks good. Let's minimize this one. So right now the data is not available, that's why you cannot see, but when the data will available, the data will reflect here. So it's look good. Now we can start working on our add pool. So this tabs is working fine. Now we have to work on this. So let's make it side by side, drag it here, click on this add pool, and we have to build all of this component. So let's start with the title first, because we have already built this one. This looks fine. Let's start with the title. So in that we go to receive the title. Let's receive the prop. Let's have a class name column 12. Inside that we'll take h3. It will have a class called profile dash dash title. Inside that we can display the title, and there it is. The title is reflecting fine. So that's the only thing we have to do in the title. Now we have to do in the input file. So there is a lot of data we have to receive. So let's come back here. Let's go to input file, and let's receive the prop. Size, type, title, name, placeholder, handle, change, value, disable. So these are the prop we are receiving. Now we can simply come here and let's start working on the JSX. So let's take a class. It will have a dynamic class because we have a different size. So let's have a regular class column 12, column XL, and we'll have the size. Now inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called form dash dash group. Inside that we'll take the label, and it will have the name, and it will have a class called form dash dash label. Inside that we can display the title. You can see the titles are displaying absolutely fine. We can come back here and work on the input field. So it's going to be type, ID is going to be name. There it is. You can see all the stylings are applying, all the inputs are applying. Name is going to be name. Then we'll have our class form dash dash input applied successfully. Now we can have the on change function. In that we can simply call this handle change. Then we'll have a placeholder. Then we'll have a value. So we'll say value. Then we'll have a disable, and that's all the prop we are sending. That's the only thing we have to do here. So you can click on this and you can go to different tab. Click here, pool, and looks good. Close this one. Now we have to work on the button. So let's come back here, copy, and this is what we have here. So this is coming from regular. So click on this and let's receive the prop. So we're going to receive the name and handle click. Simply copy here. Let's give the class call 12, and in that we'll have a button. Type is going to be button. It will have a class called form dash dash button form dash dash button dash dash small. It will have a on click function, and then we have to simply call this one. Got it? And here we have to simply pass the name. and there it is, looks fine. You can have the button, and now we are ready to create the pool. So close this one, and here we have to send the prop. I've noticed that I forgot to pass the handle click function, so let's call this handle click, and on the handle click we have to simply call the function which we have built. So I'll say calling function and pass the data pool, and that's good. This function we are calling, and that's the only thing we have to do. Now we have to make a big screen, and now we are ready to simply create a pool. You can click, and let's do the testing whatever we have done. So let's try to create a pool. So here the pool data will reflect, and this is our dashboard. So now we can simply come back here, and I have noticed one thing. Go back to the admin, and there is an undefined. So if there is an undefined, we have to display the 0. So let's take this if statement, else 0, and there it is. Got it? Now we can come back to the pool, add pool, and let's create a couple of pools. So we need the address of the deposit token and the reward token. So we can come back to our environment variable. So I'll take the address, copy, come back here, paste here, paste here. Let's give the percentage is going to be 50, and it's going to be for 1 day. And now we can click on this create event, and here it's calling our MetaMask. Now we have to simply confirm it, and finally the transaction is happening. You can see it's working absolutely fine. Once the transaction will complete, this pool will be created and the transaction is completed successfully. You can click here and you can verify the transaction on Etherscan. So the create pool is working absolutely fine. Now you can simply see this dynamic block is got rendered. So this is the pool we have created with 50%, and that's what is reflecting here. If you come back to the pool, here you will find, go to the pool list, and here the pool we have created. So look good. Now let's create 2 more, because altogether we're going to have 3. Let's provide the address, and this is going to be 100, and this is going to be for 2 days. Click and confirm the transaction. Open the MetaMask and see the transaction is pending and the transaction is completed. Sometimes the transaction takes a little bit time, sometimes it will happen quickly, so you have to wait. In my case, the transaction is happening quickly, and you can see this is the second pool we have created. If you come back to the pool, the second we have created, let's create one more quickly. This is going to be 200 and for 3 days, and we have to simply confirm the transaction. You can see the transaction is in the pending state. Once the transaction will complete, this will be created. So we got our third pool, and you will find the third pool is also listed here. So 50%, 100%, and 200%. Come back to the pool, go to the pool list. There you will find the pool we have created with the ID, percentage, day, all the deposit. That's all reflecting is fine. So I hope you guys have understood that how things are coming together. So we are building this powerful application. Now we're going to start working on the investing section, but this video is already getting long, so we'll try to continue working on our admin panel in the next video. So let's move to the next video.